Afternoon, everyone. Let me start off by saying I do apologise in advance. I do speak very quickly, but that's the Welsh nature, I'm afraid. All Welsh people speak very quickly, so apologies in advance. And my name, as we can see there, way, look at that, Ian Batchelor. I'm a mathematics teacher. I'm not a marketing person, but I have given this talk before to lots of people in Malaysia. I do lots of work in Malaysia because we take students out to Malaysia for work experience. So I have given this talk before because my boss didn't turn up one day and suddenly I was left in the lurch. And we're looking at some of the reasons why you might want to send your sons and your daughters to, I should say Great Britain, but I will say Wales because I'm not talking about England. Wales don't like England, so therefore I'm talking about Wales. And why you might want to send them to Wales, and in particular to our college, Cardiff Sixth Form College. And you might want to know the reason is because you're all looking to try to get your children into some of the top universities in Great Britain. You notice Cardiff isn't down there. It is lower down somewhere, but certainly doesn't reach the top 10. As you can see, these are the top 10 listed for 2017. And a lot of the reason why they come into the top 10 is because of the research they actually do in the universities. Everyone likes to go to the top 2, Cambridge and Oxford. But if you don't reach Cambridge or Oxford, it doesn't mean to say that you are a failure. And we're looking in 2015, 16,431 applications. That many offers, and that's how many were accepted. That's in 2015. Competition is tough, obviously. We're looking at, as you can see, all your students are looking at A stars and double A's. Predominantly 3 A stars to actually get there. And when you see about relevant skills, I remember myself as a student, I used to work as a labourer every summer as a student. It wasn't really relevant to me doing mathematics, I suppose. But what we are doing in the colleges, all the colleges you will see upstairs, and certainly in Cardiff, we try to put your students on certain work experience so they will have relevant skills to be able to show the universities. And then also we're looking at not necessarily the academic skills that they will look for. They're also looking for all of that. Certainly in Cardiff we do extra clubs. We do a NASA club where we send people a competition for space exploration, and it just so happens in Cardiff ourselves we've run it for 3 years running. But all the schools upstairs will do extra clubs. It's not just Cardiff, but every school upstairs will do extra clubs, so therefore your children will get a much broader idea before they apply for university. An important one then, the passion for what you do. I love mathematics. I'm a mathematics teacher. I've been one for 43 years and I still love what I am doing. I've done everything else in my career. I've been deputy head, I've been this, I've been that, but still, ultimately, mathematics is still my passion. But it's very difficult for someone this age to say, I like mathematics. Why do you like math? Do you like mathematics?
Yes.
Good boy. I'm glad you didn't say no. But it is difficult, obviously, when you go to university, when you write out your personal statement, why you will love what you want to do. And there you will see, also knowing you know what you want to do, you must tell the people in front of you. And not just like me, yes, I like maths. Why do you like maths? I don't know. And you have to have some way of communicating that. Whether you wear funny socks, nice print socks, or whatever you want to do, that is showing you as a personality. And that is your individuality coming through for it. This part will come through later when we do personal statements, so that's going to be done later on. It's no good lying when you write things down. Universities will check that you have all your A stars and all your A's. You can't make it up. Everything there will be checked to make sure that what you're saying is actually correct. Then also you must be very careful when you come to the colleges what particular subjects you want to study. And especially if you have, if you have a particular course, have you opted for the correct subjects? For instance, if you want to do medicine, there's no point doing history, geography and French. And especially if you want to do economics and engineering, universities like you to do further mathematics, which is what I happen to teach myself, but you need to check exactly what particular subjects they want for you to study. One slide on the bottom part there, that part is actually changing, because now in Britain they're now doing linear courses, not small modular courses. So in England there will not be any AS results for universities to see. So the important thing then is the predicted grades that your colleges will provide. And then the most important thing that you will ever do in your life, students will do in their life to get to university, is the personal statement. Before I came to Kiev, we've just finished all the entrances for Oxford, Cambridge and medical school, and it took a whole week for us to check every person's personal statement. And as we see there, all the relevant information. So in Cardiff, when we take people to Malaysia, to Kuching in Malaysia, engineers go to firms, medics go to the hospitals, and they have experience in those places. And then they mention it. All colleges will have some scheme where you will be doing work experience. It's not just me in Cardiff. All the schools upstairs will provide some of those experiences. But importantly, you don't fill it, where's the thing, with irrelevant information. Unfortunately, I think that speaks, done it again. That speaks for itself. And obviously this is not your first language, but your teachers will check that for you. And more importantly, please, boys and girls, do not do that. Write in your text language. Again, there's obvious. Just on that side of it, about lying, in your statement you will put down that you've read something in a textbook or outside a textbook. I've had students say they love random walking, because I teach statistics, so they love random walking. What is random walking? Another one said he wants to do Monte Carlo Markov chains. So there's no point saying, they're not lying, they have read it, they just don't know what it is. So straight away, lecturers will pick on that and ask you, what is it? We're looking at writing your own original personal statements. I've gone through a few before I came to Kiev now, and they all looked identical. So they all went back and they rewrote them. Because what admissions tutors want, and what we want as teachers, who are you? What are you as a boy or a girl? So we want to know some of your interests, not what the school thinks this is what you should write down. We still want to know what you want to do and what you actually do. And there's one little thing there, don't rely on quotations or anything like that that you may read. And looking at that part there, it is what interests you to want to study mathematics at university, but what you shouldn't do is to put in cliches such as that. I have a thirst for knowledge. One girl, she asked me to read a statement, and the first sentence was, as an 8-year-old, I felt very degraded, I felt uncomfortable in giving away my toys and getting no money for it. Because she wants to do economics now, and therefore she knows about giving and getting money back. So at 8-year-old, she knew she was going to be an economist. I did tell her to cross that bit out. For then, depending on your subjects, you have to sit then, because everyone, your sons and daughters come into our colleges, will always get the top grades. Universities therefore need to distinguish between those people. So therefore all now extra examinations have to be sat in all the different colleges for the particular ones. That one there for mathematics, that's very hard. If I don't like maths, I'm going to tell them there's no such thing as maths. It's actually mathematics it should be, so I'll go back and tell my people to change that. I don't like maths, mathematics it is. But you're looking at the top universities, we'll be looking for grades in those as well as your normal A-level grades. And there we're saying, we're always talking about Cambridge. Just in my own school, 90 people just filled in applications for Cambridge. There is no way 90 students will get into Cambridge. So we might get 16 or 18 get in, so there's 74 people who will be disappointed because they won't get to Cambridge. As students, you must be realistic to see whether or not you could get into Cambridge or Oxford, because you could be very disappointed then if you don't. And that's just the process that you're going through. As I say, all colleges up to last weekend would have done all that to get away to the medical schools, Oxford, Cambridge and Oxford. So all that's now been done last weekend. If you're applying for the States, a different system completely. And as you can see, it takes 4 years there compared to normal 3 years back in the UK. And again for the US, one thing there you see, the letters of reference, well, some of those come from your teachers. And the USA might look very nice to go to, but you can see the actual entrance is quite difficult. You have to do an essay as well as any of your A-level results. How can we help you? First of all, because of your English, all colleges will give you some help in English to make sure you're able to understand what's been asked, etc., etc. For the top universities, you have to pass a certain level in IELTS, the Overseas International English Test. And all colleges will help you do that to make sure you don't get turned down, even though you have all the A-level results and your English isn't good enough. When we then look at a different culture, in my college alone we have 42 different nationalities. As we say, we have students from Azerbaijan down to Zambia. And we're also helping, obviously, coming to us, you could be very young. We've given you the confidence to stay away from home. Mummy and daddy, you're saying bye-bye to your little people. And international work placements are very important, and they look very good on your resume. In our college in Cardiff, we send people to Malaysia, which I'm in charge of. We send people to Bahrain, and we're now extending to India and Thailand. And still, whether we like it, you like it or not, in Great Britain, we are still recognized as having a very high quality of education. Sorry. And there's your opportunities. That's what all colleges will offer. It's not just Cardiff, it's all the colleges, all the schools upstairs will be offering all that for your sons and daughters. Oh, I didn't know that was there. I'm sorry. It's not on my notes. Well, that's what we do in Cardiff. Someone put that in at the very end. But again, it's very similar to what everyone does. And that's what we had through last year, going to the various places. You see, 18 and 90 people might have tried. That's all we will get through, because they're only allowed to take so many overseas students anyway. And before we go on to that, let me tell you a little story. The owner of my college is on the panel for interviews for medicine. And she had one little girl come from Thailand who said, I want to be a doctor. First question always is, why do you want to be a doctor? And she said, my father's a doctor, my auntie is a doctor, and my uncle is a doctor. Yes, but why do you want to be a doctor? So she thought a while. My father's a doctor, my auntie's a doctor, and my uncle is a doctor. So they said again, yeah, you just said that to me. I ask you again, why do you want to be a doctor? So she thought a bit longer this time. And she said, my father's a doctor. And this is a very true story. Do you think that young lady got into that particular college? No. So when you get to that stage, it is you who must therefore impress whoever is in front of you why they want you to come to my college. Why do you want me to talk to you? Because I got white hair, I'm old, I've been there, I've done it, and I wear pink socks. Thank you. And any questions?
I have a question. At the beginning of your talk, you mentioned about knowing about your subject and about the culture of the subject. So maybe using maths. Could you explain a bit more how that would happen, how you would...
What you're looking at is everyone reads a textbook, and therefore colleges are looking for you reading outside your main topic. So you're looking at some of your teachers asking you to read various books. Most students have probably heard of Pythagoras' Theorem. Yes? Pythagoras? He's the one with the triangle, and it says that this squared plus that squared equals that squared. Even adults know that. You all taught this in school, yes? But there is another theorem that if you don't have squares, does it still work? Does x cubed and y cubed equal z cubed? And the answer is no. And that was called Fermat's last theorem. A very famous mathematician called Fermat. And there was one person in Britain spent 7 years of his life trying to prove this theorem. But he made a mistake in the second page of his proof. So he wasted 7 years of his life. But he tried again. And he did another 7 years. And he then actually proved it properly. And why it is famous is because Fermat actually proved it 100 or so years before, but never put it down in writing. But reading around your subject like mathematics, reading different books, suddenly you will see how this came out, and therefore maybe an interest then in mathematics, maybe not, it depends. But like in economics, I mentioned this one Monte Carlo Markov chain, which is very technical as far as economics is concerned. I've never heard of it, but this boy read it in a book somewhere. But you Google it, and you see what Google says. But everything is university level. So really there's no point mentioning you have an interest in this, because you don't know anything about it. So you should read around your subject, but you don't mention something which you're not really au fait with. You need to research if you want to mention it. I'm afraid to say at your age, I never read around mathematics, but now we are looking for you being different to what I was at your age. It was easy to get to university at my age. It's not so easy for you now. And did I want to do mathematics? I don't know. My first job was computing. I was a nurse in a mental hospital. I was a labourer. And then suddenly I went back to my old school where I was taught to become a teacher. And I was awful. I taught the same way I was taught. You sit there and be quiet. Hopefully I've improved in the last 43 years. I hope so. I haven't been sacked yet. I'm still in my college, so something is right.
What is the proportion of your students that go to universities outside of UK? The question is wider, basically. How well suited are the UK schools to apply to non-UK universities?
The only ones from our particular college that go back to different UK would be our Hong Kong students. And a lot of those try to cheat the system. Because in Hong Kong, if you stay in Hong Kong to go to A-level Chinese there, you have to study Chinese culture and something else. Whereas if they come to Britain, they are then classified, if they apply back home to Hong Kong, as outside people. So they get in easier. And that's the only ones that we have in our college actually go back outside the UK. We have 3 this year trying for the US, and that's all. 3 students last year turned down Cambridge to go back to Hong Kong. So that stopped 3 people from my college going to Cambridge. But I can't help that. So we get very few not go to UK. Very few. Thank you.